From the frozen cold mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, we have them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, grab a great book from We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by CHIVE Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by donating to CHIVE Charities today. You can find them on our website. Who or what is the evil, shadowy entity known as Hat Man? A new documentary, The Hat Man, Documented Cases of Pure Evil, by Kyle J. Macias, comes forward to shed some light on this mysterious and terrifying supernatural figure. Kyle's an avid researcher and paranormal aficionado, covering a wide range of subjects, such as the occult, entity contact, and unknown realms. The Hat Man, Documented Cases of Pure Evil, premiering on Vimeo and Amazon back on September of last year, is the first documentary feature covering the subject of shadow people, specifically focusing on this distinct figure. The internet and eyewitnesses have dubbed the Hat Man. What a name. All of us could really be the Hat Man, since most of us wear hats. So no wonder if Kyle believes in this or not. Is it real? Is it a figment of imagination? Or is it some sort of tulpa that we've created with our own mind? Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Kyle J. Macias, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. What a pleasure to have you here. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, anytime. I love stories like this because they are so unique and the experiences are so unbelievable. And that's kind of what we do around here. But I want to learn about you a little bit here for our audience, as this is your first time here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved with your enjoyment of the paranormal?
Well, it started back in 2008. 2006 to 2008. My house was actually extremely haunted. And if you could imagine, if anyone has seen the movie Insidious, that's basically what was happening inside my house. There was apparitions, there was noises, knocks, there was shadow people, and also an old woman that was kind of like haunting the house. But it was all very more on the demonic side than it was ghostly to me. It felt more like evil, and it would kind of morph. So that's what got me into it, is experiencing all these things with me and my family. There had to be something more than what we usually are used to in this world.
So what kind of experiences were you having in your house that kind of freaked you and your family out?
One that I remember vividly is I was asleep on my couch next to my dad, and this was about 9:30 at night, and this one happened in 2007. And I fell asleep, and then my mom woke me up, and she was in the kitchen. So where I'm sitting, I could see my kitchen clearly, and attached to my kitchen is our washroom. So she just went in there, and she moved, cleaned something, and then she went back to the back of the house. But when she walked across the kitchen, it looked like there was something standing in front of her in our doorway. And I was like, okay, there's nothing there, but it looks like something standing there. I can't tell. So I squinted, and basically what I saw is kind of like a see-through shadow person. It was about like maybe 7 feet tall. It was standing there, and it leaned as if it recognized that I can see this thing. And when it leaned over, like, oh, look, this person could see me. You know, my scare level went from 0 to 11 right away. I was shaking. I was sweating. I was even crying. And remember, my dad's like right next to me in the couch asleep as well. I could have just, tapped him and said, look at this thing. But I was so scared I didn't even want to, reach out and touch him. What I did was I had a blanket, and I was hiding under the blanket. And then I was praying. And then I was like, God, tell it to go away. Tell it to go away. I don't know what the hell that is, but tell it to go away. And then I slowly pulled over my cupboards, and it was gone. And that was the most strangest thing that I've ever seen. But later on, I found out that other family members saw shadow people around the house, as well as an old woman. But one of the most weird things that would happen is we would hear footsteps, like as if someone with loud boots was thumping, someone real heavy was thumping. And it would start in our den, and then it would move to our kitchen, and then it would move all the way up to my bedroom door. And then to the point where I feel like someone's going to kick open the door. But it was like thump, thump. It was really loud, and there was no one. I mean, like, the only people that were there was my mom and my sister, but they were all asleep. This happened like at 3 or 4 in the morning, and we would hear these thumps, and my dad worked nights. And it was the most terrifying thing because you knew it was something paranormal. It wasn't just something like some other coincidence or something.
To have that firsthand experience that you did, and to have those eerie sensations all around, what did that feel like for you and your family? Was this something you talked about? Was this something that was discussed after you moved out? Or was this something that you just kept quiet because, well, we just don't talk about those kinds of things?
Well, around that time I was in middle school, and my mom didn't talk about it. She talks about it now, but she didn't want to talk about it with us because she believed that it would scare the hell out of us if she told us, yeah, there's demons in our house or there's ghosts in our house. So she just said it was the floor creaking. And she would say that the house at night, when the temperature changes, the house makes certain noises. But in my case, it was mostly noises. But with another family member, she would see the actual apparitions of shadow people in the corner. And one of the most scariest things about this haunting is that, I'll just say it was my sister, and she would lay on her left side facing the doorway. And she always had the doorway a little open so that if she had to use the restroom, there was some light there and she can go and use the restroom. So she was laying down facing her doorway. And, okay, so she has like a piano that's on the wall. So she can't see the top part of the doorway, but she can see the bottom part of the doorway. So she's laying there and she wakes up kind of feeling weird. And she looks at her doorway and she sees an old woman's feet on the bottom of the doorway, just standing there. And then when she would look over, behind the piano, she would see an old woman peeking around, looking in her room. And then this woman would rush in the room, and then she would turn around and hide under her blankets. That seems to be a commonality with a lot of people, is they hide under the blankets as if it's going to help them.
Oh yes, of course.
In some cases, it does not help them. I have a case with that with the Hat Man. But yeah, that was probably the most terrifying, but we didn't really talk about it until recently, probably 5 years ago, we started talking about it.
Well, I can tell you, I am one of those cases of throwing the blanket over my head. This goes back to, I think, 2002, 2003, and I'll tell you, it's amazing how safe you feel under a blanket when you do that, when something paranormal is happening, isn't it?
That's true. That's true.
I know in my case, I had a little girl. I woke up to a little girl, the ghost of a little girl, standing right in front of me about 1.5 feet, 2 feet away. And I could see right through her. And to date myself, on my VCR, the time was 4:02 a.m., that I could see right through her. That freaked me out. So I did what any man would do. I threw the covers over my head and screamed like a schoolgirl, because that's what you're supposed to do in those situations. So that's, when I went through that, I got to tell you, it was very surreal. It was very scary. How was your fear level in that house? Did you like going in there?
Actually, I still live in that house. That's where I'm talking from right now.
Oh, nice.
Basically, it always happened at nighttime, and to the point where, not that I got used to it, but I would hear the thumps, and then I would remember what my mom said, that, oh, it's just the house creaking. So I just assumed it was the house creaking. Even though it sounded really loud and it was really disturbing, I would fall asleep to that. And then it kind of died down, and what was actually happening is the haunting and the entities was targeting my sister. So it was targeting one person. And usually in the demonic, they target one person. And she was around that age where, we were both around that age where it's around puberty. And that does attract entities around that age range. But no, after a while, you kind of didn't think about it, but there would be times where you would hear the footsteps again. You would feel like someone's watching you, but it got really demonic real quick. Like one of the weirdest things that happened was my mom woke up in the middle of the night and she had a horrible feeling. She had a really bad feeling, and she's kind of psychic and she's kind of like a medium, but I wouldn't say she's practicing, but she kind of senses things. And so she's walking around the house and she was praying, and then she opened up our front door. And this is during the night times. It's really dark. And she's seen it look like, she said, I'll never forget it. She saw it look like a cat, but like it was half human and half something evil, and it was facing away. And then she said it perked up and looked back at her. And she said she knew it was something inhuman. It looked like a cat, but it looked more demonic. And she can feel the stare going into her, like staring at her. And then she shut the door and she started praying over the house. She started anointing the house with oil and praying over the house. There was a lot of stuff where it was more demonic. Because I know some people believe that, they can be like dead humans, but in my haunting, in my case, in this house, it was more demonic attack. It was really dark. It got pretty dark.
So considering you still live there now, what's happening there now, paranormally speaking?
Actually nothing. So around, I think 2009, 2010, the activity was still happening, and there was actually a confrontation with the entities that were in the house and with my family. And I wasn't home. I believe, I was at football practice at the time, and, this was during the day. And they actually, what happened is, my mom was sensing it, but she didn't know that my sister was seeing these things. And so she told my sister, she said, I'm kind of sensing there's something in your room. And then my sister freaked out and said, yes, I didn't want to tell you because I felt scared. And so what happened was they all went into the room, my dad, my mom, and my sister, and they started praying in a circle in the room. And then my mom looked up, and next to the closet formed this shadow figure of an old woman that was in the corner. And then my mom walked up to it, and she said, I command you to leave. And she's a Christian, so she said, I command you to leave in the name of Jesus. And then she said this thing was, like, acting weird, and then it, like, faded away. And then ever since that, there hasn't been any activity. But since doing the film, the Hat Man Documented Cases of Pure Evil, there has been activity that has came up again ever since I did the film, the documentary.
Interesting. So what's happening there now since you did the film on Hat Man?
I would say there's a lot of synchronicities. For people that don't know, synchronicities is kind of like you so happen to look at the same number, you so happen to get the same name over and over. It's kind of like a sequence of events or numbers or symbols that you so happen to see over and over. So what will happen is like, for example, something recent that did happen is there was. Let me start with I'm sorry, I'm going off. The synchronicities. I will turn on the TV. So this started happening when I first started researching the Hat Man. I would turn on my TV just to relax. I came home from work. I turned on the TV, and then there would be an old TV show like from the 1930s, and it looks like, a silhouette of a Hat Man like in the corner. Then he comes out and he's smoking. He's talking about something, and I'm like, that's weird. And then I go on my phone later, and then Freddy Krueger starts coming up on Instagram over and over. So it happened at that same time. And then, and I'll be like, what, this is weird, whatever. I go about my day. And then later on at nighttime, I'll go get some coffee with a friend or something. So I'm driving now, and then I'll see someone pull in front of me with a license plate, and it'll have like either the Hat Man's initials, HM, or sometimes in some cases in the state of California, there was a person that we saw who had the license plate that actually said Hat Man on it. So there's a lot of things like that happened that were like synchronistic, it was almost as if the phenomena was letting me know that I was looking into it, and now we're looking into you. And then I started noticing that there's images of the Hat Man all over pop culture. For example, the movie The Babadook. That's like almost like a movie about the Hat Man. Freddy Krueger is like, the classic kind of Hat Man-esque figure. The preacher from Poltergeist 2, Reverend Kane, Jeepers Creepers, even the neighborhood watch signs that you see with the little Hat Man on it. And then, you have Zorro, the Slender Man, even in the movie Spirited Away, there's a train scene, and it even shows the Hat Man on the train. So when I was doing the research for this film, it seems as if this entity is trying to put its image all over pop culture. And that bleeds into the tulpa aspect of the occult.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you, because you'd go and do a documentary series or a documentary on Hat Man. Do you think maybe you created your own tulpas coming back into your own home?
For me, I don't think so, because a few years before I approached the Hat Man subject, I was reading a whole bunch of books on tulpas and thought forms and egregores, and I believe it's in reverse. So, like, for people that don't know, what tulpa is like, it's like something that you put your focus in, and it's a thought form, and then in the ethereal, it produces that kind of energy that takes the form of what you're imagining. It seems that it's in reverse, that being that this entity is putting its image in you, and it wants you to know that it's out there and it exists. Because the Hat Man reports have been around pre-internet, these movies coming out. Before Freddy Krueger came out, The Nightmare on Elm Street, there's all kinds of Hat Man reports that people have been reporting over the years. So I believe it's in reverse, and also it seems like it's more of a sigil. In the occult, people use these little symbols to manifest demons or to put witchcraft on people. It seems like the image of the Man in the Hat and Pitch Black has become its own kind of symbol and sigil, so that if it enters your eye gate, and then it goes into your subconscious mind, it's easier for that entity to manifest to you now. That's what it seems like from my research.
Interesting. So how did you get into film that leads us to the documentary, The Hat Man?
I've always been interested in film since I was younger. Even elementary school, I've been interested in film. Not recently, I've been into horror film as well, but mainly I like to stay in the horror and thriller genre, but I always want to do storytelling. And I've done a couple of short films already on the Hat Man, and I realized, I'm like, hey, no one's really done a documentary just on the Hat Man. There's been documentaries on shadow people, sleep paralysis, night terrors, but nothing on the Hat Man. So I was like, that's interesting, because this entity is one of the most prominent figures, and it crosses so many different genres, if you will, inside the paranormal community. Some people see him, on the side of the road. Some people see him, obviously, in their bedrooms, in their closets. Some people see him sitting in the back seats. So it crosses a lot of, some people see him in sleep paralysis, lucid dreaming, astral projecting. It crosses a lot of lines. So I really wanted to dive deep into the subject and see what this thing could possibly be.
So as you decided to make a documentary on this, how did you start your research?
Actually, I was already involved in the paranormal from researching it for the short films, but I came across Rosemary Ellen Guiley, and she's one of the leading researchers in the paranormal. She's written, I think, 65 plus books, and she runs the gamut also on a whole bunch of different topics. And she did cover the subject of the shadow people in the book, The Jinn Connection, and I ordered it because when I was doing my research into the paranormal, I was also interested in stuff like alien abduction, reptilians, the Greys, shadow people, all kinds of stuff. And it seems that there seems to be a connection with all that. And there's not many researchers out there that make that connection, but Rosemary Ellen Guiley really made that connection strong. She believed that the shadow people were the jinn, and the jinn is basically kind of like it's like an evil spirit, but in the Middle East. But it really does. It's more globally, and it actually predates the Islamic religion. So that that word jinn is very old. But yeah, I mainly read her books for the research, and then also books by Jason Offutt. Anyone who really covered shadow people, but there's a small handful of people who actually research the shadow people in depth. Rosemary Ellen Guiley being one of the leading ones.
Right. Jason Offutt's a good friend of this show as well. So you picked a good one there. That's for sure. So as you started to delve into this, as we only got about 2.5 minutes until we go to break at the bottom of the hour, did you believe in the Shadow Man? Did you have some skepticism? Did you think that there was going to be something to this?
I believed it 100% because my mom, my aunt, and my grandma claimed to have seen it. And I believe them 100%, and they seen him. That's what actually got me interested as well, because I heard those stories, and then my house started getting haunted. That's what pushed me into the paranormal. But yeah, they would see him, and it would be during the day as well. It wasn't at nighttime. So he really does show up whenever it wants. It doesn't show up. If it was a condition, it wouldn't be so many different places.
So as you started to film this, and we'll get into this more on the other side of the break, what happened to you? Did anything happen to you to change your mind or make you more of a believer?
I was very prepared going into it because I always research the paranormal. I buy all kinds of books. I read about it, and I've had experiences just from making short films that it seems as if this dark side, this demonic side, this jinn side doesn't want this information out there to the public. They're very good at concealing themselves, and I didn't want to go into this documentary blind. Other filmmakers, they might hear something about the Hat Man and be, oh, that sounds cool, let's make a documentary about it. They go in blind, they're completely attacked, they're completely confused. The Hat Man pays them a visit, shadow people pay them a visit, they go crazy, and sometimes people kill themselves. I didn't want to be that kind of filmmaker going into it, so I did all the research, all the preparation, all the protection I could get before it's almost like you have to put on a special suit to get it to go into this field of work, because these things are real and they do respond very quick. They respond very quick, especially if you dive deep into that subject.
Kyle J. Macias is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. When we come back after this break, we are going to learn all about the Hat Man. What is it? How does it come around? Why does it come around? Yeah, we're in for a good one tonight. Kyle's documentary, The Hat Man, documented cases of pure evil. That's what we're talking about all night. You can find it on Amazon, so make sure you do. More Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you'd know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
we're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hello everyone. This is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblelicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have you along for the ride. Reminder that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we got a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. You can grab a great book from We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers like Lori did. Hi, Lori. Yeah, it's $5 a month. And, of course, finally, you can check out Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight we are talking about the Hat Man. Kyle J. Macias has a brand new documentary out called The Hat Man, Documented Cases of Pure Evil. It can be found on Amazon, getting great reviews as well. I hope you go and check it on out. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us tonight. How are you doing?
Doing really good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Okay, so how did you learn about the Hat Man?
It was actually first inadvertently. It was by my grandma, my mom, and my aunt. My aunt claimed to have seen the Hat Man, but she didn't know that there was, a worldwide phenomenon of the Hat Man, that so many people see the same entity. She didn't know that. She just so happened to see this entity. And I'll tell you a story. One day, she was washing the dishes, and she had my cousin was a baby at the time. She had her in a car seat on the floor. And it was about 10 feet away from her as she was doing the dishes. And she could see her. She was just, playing, moving around a little bit. And so she's washing the dishes, and then on the corner of her eye, she sees movement. And usually at that side of the house, people pass by. There's a window, and people could pass by. And she's seen on the corner of her eye, it looked like a man. And she thought, it looks like he's passing by. And she's like, hey, it's kind of close, close to the window. Usually people are kind of toward the sidewalk. And then she noticed on the corner of her eye, as she's looking at him, she's like, this thing's a lot closer. This man's a lot closer. So she looks over, and the Hat Man is there, and he's wearing kind of a fedora type hat, and he's wearing a 3-piece suit and a jacket, and he's a little bit see-through. She said he was still black and dark, but a little bit see-through around the legs. And he was slowly looming over my cousin in the car seat. He was actually in the house, and he was slowly looming over, staring at my cousin in the car seat. And she said she was staring at him. She knew it was something spiritual, supernatural. And then, but she said she didn't feel threatened by him. So she kind of just watched him on the corner of her eye, and then he eventually kind of faded away. That was one of the first encounters that I heard from my aunt. But she said it was the most strangest thing. But she said what was weird, she didn't feel threatened. And then another occasion happened where my mom and my grandma seen this Hat Man, and this was during the day as well. So my aunt seen him during the day, and then my grandma and my mom seen him during the day. They came home from the store, from buying groceries. They opened the door at my grandma's house, and when you open the door, the stairs are right there. So they open the door, and then they see on top of the stairs this tall man. They said he was about 7 feet tall, and he had a wide, he had a fedora hat on, and then he had a long coat, but he looked black. And it's kind of dark up there during the day because there's no lights turned on up there during the day on the second floor. So he looked darker than the shadows that were up there. And they were both staring at him, and my mom said that she felt like the Hat Man was staring into her soul, that he was staring into her, and it felt very eerie and dark. And for some reason, she said that her and my grandma's mind couldn't really wrap around what they were looking at. They were staring at something. They knew something was off, but they couldn't really wrap their minds around it. So my mom took a step forward toward this entity on the stairs, and then she said, Mario, because my uncle lives in that house as well. And she said, so I knew it wasn't him, her brother, my uncle, but she just didn't know, who's up there? It has to be, Mario dressed like that. He never dresses like that, but it has to be him. That's what she was thinking. And then this Hat Man rushes down the stairs, and then so fast that my mom has to, move back, and then my grandma moves. And as it's coming downstairs, it turns into, a gush of wind. They feel the wind on their face, and then this thing exits out the doorway. And they said that they were all left with the eerie feeling And then my mom said that the weirdest thing is that they didn't talk about it after. It was almost like they knew they seen something supernatural, but it was almost like they didn't want to talk about it. My mom was saying that's very weird, and then she kind of doesn't remember what happened after that. And that's reported with a lot of people that see shadow people or have paranormal experiences, is sometimes they don't remember what happened after the experience. Their mind or their memory gets a little fuzzy. And that's what happened after they seen the Hat Man. Ever since they told me those stories, I thought it was just a ghost, like a ghost that lived in that house or was following my family. And it turned out my friend came over years later, and he was all, have you heard of the shadow people? And then I was like, what the heck? No. And then he showed me on Google and also Google Images how so many people have seen the same type of shadow people. You have the hooded figure, you have these tall, like pillar-like shadows, and then you have one of the major ones, which is the Hat Man. And when he says that character, I said, oh my gosh, my mom said she's seen something like that at my grandma's house. And then my mom was walking by, and I said, Mom, remember you said you've seen that hatted, like, ghost figure at the house? She's like, yeah. I said, well, it turns out it's reported all over the world. People are posting their stories online. They see another, like, a ghost shadow in a hat. And she looked freaked out. And ever since then, it took me down the rabbit hole that this Hat Man phenomena is worldwide, and it's not local. It's worldwide.
What do you think it is?
I have several different theories on what the Hat Man is. I can give you my opinion after my theories, but one of the theories that comes up most often is that it's an interdimensional entity feeding off of the soul energy of the individual. That's one theory. A second theory is that it's a fourth dimensional entity, so it's kind of living in the astral plane, and it's triggered if you see the image of it in our matrix, on our earthly plane. So if you see an image of the Hat Man, let's say on pop culture, if that entity is around in the fourth dimension, now that you have it inside your subconscious, it can easily manifest to you by your subconscious, and then eventually can cross over through your mind. This is where it kind of gets a little bit more esoteric. And then the fourth one is that it's a jinn. So the fourth theory is that it's a jinn. And the jinn actually in Arabic means hidden ones. And for people that don't know, in short, it's kind of like saying demon in Islam, but the jinn predate the Islam religion. So that's the fourth. The fifth one, which is interesting, is that the Hat Man is kind of like a counterfeit Holy Ghost. If you believe in Christianity, or if you believe in God and the Trinity, the Hat Man seems to be a counterfeit ghost part of the dark trinity of the dark side. You have Satan, and then you have the Hat Man, which is kind of like Satan's Holy Ghost if he was mimicking the Trinity, and then you would have like the Antichrist, which would kind of mimic, the Christ. And it's weird because you can actually make a parallel to what the Holy Spirit does and also what the Hat Man does. It's really interesting when you research that as well. And then another theory, which is the last one, it's the sixth one, is that it's a fallen angel. It's because I don't know if people know this, but in demonology, a demon has to attach to an object or has to possess a person. But a fallen angel is different. If you research deep into esoteric writings like the Book of Enoch, even old ancient texts in Hebrew, a demon has to attach either to an object or possess a person. A fallen angel does not have to attach to anything. And that's what I found in my research, is that the Hat Man's not attached to anything. So I believe it could possibly be, if it falls under that category, a fallen angel or a high-ranking entity on the dark side. Me personally, everything I just told you, I believe they're all connected, and I believe the Hat Man is all those things in one package. But in short, if you were to ask me in short, I believe the Hat Man is a dark, interdimensional entity that does try to get people to kill themselves, tries to get people to do evil things, and also uses people and our energy to cross over from that realm into ours. That, in short, is what I would say, what I believe the Hat Man is from my research. And it's also from what people say. They say right away, almost as if they get a download subconsciously or spiritually when they see him. It's almost like they get a download and they go, oh, yeah, it's the devil. Right away they say that. They go, I felt him when he was in my room. I felt him. It was the devil. I know he's the devil. I know he wants to kill me. That's what they say right away. There's never a vibe of, he wants to enlighten me and show me, the universe or anything. It's actually very dark, very dark.
Well, that's a little eerie for people who have had those experiences with the Hat Man. I have not. I don't know if I would, because I like a nice hat, so I'd probably try and steal it, to be absolutely honest, and not even trying to make fun there. But on the flip side, we have people out there who are having these, and I know Jason Offfoot and I know Rosemary Ellen Guiley. They've both been guests on this show, and I know how serious they are about their research in regards to this type of topic, as well as the Jinn as well. So as you started looking into the history of this being, this entity, do you believe that it started way back in, early times of humans, like way before the Middle East was even here, way before the continents were solved? When did you think this was coming around?
I'm personally what you would call like a Messianic Jew, and that's more going into like the ancient texts of things that are Hebrew and stuff. So I believe that this dark consciousness, this entity, does go back predating what you would say the Middle East and all that. But I do believe that when you go deep into this research, you do find that there are a lot of things that the general public believes, and what are in movies and in pop culture. And the more deep you get into it, it's almost like as if people are believing kind of something that's false, and then when you go deeper, it's something that's a lot more intense, a lot more complicated. Yeah, I do believe that it goes back to ancient times. I personally go toward the Book of Enoch, where it talks about that these entities came from heaven. They came from the stars. They came down. Whether you believe they're fallen angels or aliens, they came down. They intermarried with women. They produced these monsters and giants that kind of populated the planet. Then God sent this flood here, and when it killed those entities, they became disembodied spirits, and that's what demons are. And that's why a lot of times when people see an actual demon and they kind of look animalistic, it's because when those entities came down, they were mating with animals as well, and just humans. And they were actually, it was actually more kind of alien, where they're kind of tampering with the genetics of humankind. That's what I personally believe what was going on, and I believe that's where the Hat Man came from. I just believe recently, in the last couple of decades, this entity has chosen to attach itself to an image that's very powerful and potent to the human eye, that's easier to cross over into our dimension, that being of a man in a hat, the coat, and a pitch black shadow. Also, it's psychological, and also it represents its authority in that realm. If you believe in demons like I do, I believe in there's demons, and there's different ranks, different kinds of things out there. And also, I don't know if you want to get into this, but I actually spoke to someone who was a high-ranking individual in Santeria and the occult. Did you want me to talk about that?
We got time. We got time. Go for it.
Okay, so when I was doing my research for the film, I came across a guy. I can't say his name because he wasn't a part of the film after all, but I think it's very important. He was an ex-high-ranking warlock in the occult, to the point where he would sacrifice animals and he would send, demons to people's houses. It was that serious. And he would also do witchcraft for money. So if if your wife cheated on you and you wanted to get her back, you would go to this guy, you would pay him, let's say $10,000, and then he would do some ritual at his house, and he would send a demon to her house, give her a heart attack, and she would die. So that was like his occupation for a long time. And he would he claims he would meet with the devil on occasions. It would manifest in the room. So he doesn't do that anymore. Actually, he's completely did a 180, and he actually has his own ministry, and he actually casts demons out of people, which is very interesting. But anyway, so I contacted him because he claimed he used to be in the occult like that, in the dark witchcraft. So I contacted him to see if he knew about this Hat Man phenomena. And so I called him and we had a talk, and he told me, he's all, so why do you want to get into this Hat Man, Shadow Man phenomenon? Why does it interest you? And I told him, I said, well, my family has had experiences. I'm interested in the topic. And I just want to know more about the truth. I want to know more about the truth of what's going on in this realm that we're in. What's really going on? And he said, okay. He's all, I'll tell you exactly what the Hat Man is. He said it's a high-ranking demonic spirit. And he said, I had a contract with that entity. And he's all, not everyone can have a contract with that entity. It was very high-ranking. And he said he had like a special book where it had like its sigil on it, and he could manifest this entity, and he could summon it. And he said he knew its rank in the spirit realm. He knew its name. And he said, if you really piss me off, and he's all, I wanted to get you back. He's all, that's the first thing I sent to your house. He's all, I summoned the Hat Man. He would manifest in the room, and he's all, he would talk to this thing. And he said, when it entered the room, you treat it like a family member. You treat it with respect. And then he said that he would tell this thing, this person's bothering me, and go get them. And he said, phase 1 is it shows up in your bedroom in the middle of the night. And he said that, and it's in the doorway. And he told me, I didn't tell him nothing about my research yet. He was just telling me what he does. And he said, and it has the hat on, and he said, and it's pitch black, and it's just staring in the doorway, staring at you. And he said, that's phase 1. And he's all, the purpose of this demon is to make you feel like you're going to have a heart attack and die. That's what he said. And then he said that the demon would come back to me and report to what happened. And he said, if that didn't really get you, and if I really wanted to get you, he said, phase 2 is, he said, I do the ritual again at my house, and then he's all, then I send it to your house again in the middle of the night. And he said, phase 2, now it's at the foot of your bed closer, or now it's directly in your face closer, but this time it has red glowing eyes. And he said the purpose of that demon is to terrify the hell out of you and to possibly like give you a heart attack so you do die. And he was adamant about that. And then and I said, okay, but what about the appearance? Why does that demon manifest that way? And he said, he's all, the hat represents authority in the spirit realm. He's all over the other demons. He's all, it's a very high-ranking demonic spirit. He's all, the wide-brim hat represents authorities. And then, and he said, it's also the coat and the hat is what it chooses to take human form when it crosses over from that dimension into ours. It's also its favorite form it chooses when it crosses over. And I was just tripping out. And that's what he said. And he did other deep stuff as well, but now he's completely did a 180 from that. It's interesting, though, when I met Rosemary Ellen Guiley and I asked her about the hat, she said the same thing, too, is that hats do represent authority. I didn't tell her about the interview I did with the ex-warlock, but she said that the hats represent authority and that she was saying it's also psychological that when you see a tall figure in your room with a hat, your mind automatically takes that in as it's an authority figure. I feel like I'm going to die. What the hell is this thing doing in here? And it does have a psychological effect on the individual of complete fear, because it's not normal to see someone in your room like that, especially in old-fashioned attire like that. But that was one thing I did want to touch upon, because I believe that people are doing this all the time, and that's partly why people do see the Hat Man.
We've got about 3.5 minutes here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Kyle J. Macias is our guest tonight. We're talking about the Hat Man. So with the evil that this brings on as this former warlock who, used to kill people through spells, I mean, that's pretty intriguing right there to even hear about that. What would be the cause of somebody doing that? Why would this creature be from the pits of hell and trying to terrorize people to have their body collapse in on its own? Was it after? Let me add to that. Was it after the soul? Was it because most demonic type deities are, right?
Oh yeah, well in his case, I know a lot of movies they do say that the demons are going after the soul, but in this case, the warlock had a contract with this entity. He sold his soul to this entity already. He sold his body soul to this entity already. So now, under a binding contract, this demon does do his bidding, the warlock's bidding, but in reverse, the demon owns that warlock. So it's actually kind of a little different when you get into the occult side of things. It was really in that situation, the demon was doing the bidding of the warlock. So the Hat Man wasn't visiting that person to try to get their soul. He was doing an assignment that the warlock gave to the demon to go terrorize that person because that person pissed them off.
Oh, nice guy. Very nice guy. I mean, remind me not to play poker with the gentleman. I mean, that's because the last thing you want to do is take his money. I'm sure he wins a lot. But nonetheless, as we continue on here on the show, as we got about 2 minutes here. How fearful were you for your own safety in going into something this dramatic and this potentially evil?
Me as a person and my personality, I've always kind of been into horror films and more of darker stuff. I always liked the villains more in the films than the heroes. I've always been kind of fascinated with the dark side, never taken or dabbled in it, but I've always been fascinated by it and the research of it. So I wasn't really concerned, and then I took the necessary precautions to protect myself ahead of time. Because like what I said before, a lot of filmmakers get into this, and they go, people around the world are seeing the same man in their dreams. Let's research it. And then they get terrorized themselves, and then it backfires on them. Because there's many stories that I've interviewed people where the Hat Man's very closely linked to suicide and depression. So I did have to be careful, and there was a lot of attacks that did follow with making this film.
So as we look at the Hat Man, and we could continue this in the next hour, how is he conjured up? Why does he come around? Besides the fact that he can be brought by having a deal with warlocks and people who are into the demonic, but what makes him wander around? And is there more than one of him?
I believe from my research that there is one main Hat Man. I do believe other shadow people could kind of manifest something similar, but I think there's one main high-ranking entity that has been called to know, or has been known to be called the Hat Man now. I believe that there's one from my research because it has a memory of its own, and it does communicate with people, and it does make itself known on so many different pop culture references. But I guess we can get into it in the next hour about how it's manifested. Yeah, how it manifests and moves around.
All right. We will do that. I'm going to get you to hold on right here. Kyle J. Macias is our guest tonight. He has directed a documentary film that can be found on Amazon called The Hat Man, Documented Cases of Pure Evil. We're getting into it, learning more about The Hat Man, coming up in hour 2. Your questions as well, so stay tuned.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today. Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thieme. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get BUMBLEFOOT?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblelicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning us in, especially if you're listening in on KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, and KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Macarodont. Macarodont is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Sign up for the Space Travelers Club. It's $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. We're talking with Kyle J. Macias tonight on Spaced Out Radio. He has directed a documentary called The Hat Man, documented cases of pure evil. It can be found on Amazon. And right before the break, Kyle, we were talking about what Hat Man really is, some sort of demonic figure that comes at dark times around people. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about some more of the dark subjects here.
Absolutely. So with the Hat Man coming around at dark times, you mentioned people who suffer from depression and are really down in their life. Can anybody see this, or does it have to be manifested?
It seems that it has to be manifested. There are people who they're kind of crazy, but there are people online that are trying to manifest the Hat Man, are trying to call him into their lives so they can see him. Some people are trying to attract him to them. And that's extremely dangerous. I mean, it's already enough that someone who's involved in the occult has a contract, and at least they have respect for the entity. And you have people out there who have no knowledge on the occult, have no knowledge on the interdimensional entities, and they're trying to contact or ask these entities into their lives to manifest. It's very dangerous. But no. From my research, because I didn't just, I really did want to direct a film that was very informative, also very scary, very intense, but I also really wanted to go deep into the research beforehand. So I did a lot of deep research, and that was mainly through interviews with actual people who have seen the Hat Man. And there was a lot of commonalities. It was different, but there was still a lot of commonalities. So it has to manifest through, I have a list here. Basically what I came across is that sex abuse was also on there. So if someone was abused when they were a child, like sexually abused, Hat Man sightings would follow that. That was something that I thought was very disturbing. Even one witness said that she felt like as if while she was being abused by her abuser when she was younger, the Hat Man was enjoying seeing that. That's how evil this thing is. I thought that was very disturbing, that after someone's been abused, it seems as if something like that so dark that it triggered the attraction or opened up a portal for this entity to come in, almost as if that's witchcraft itself. If you research the occult, there is such thing as sex magic, so that could be part of it. Also, people who do drugs, it's almost as if hardcore drugs such as DMT or even ayahuasca tea, which is the DMT in a tea form. That's what ayahuasca is. If people who know about that drug, it opens up that world, and you can actually see more into different dimensions, what people say. And oddly enough, some people do see the Hat Man. And in the documentary, we do have a story where a woman took ayahuasca tea and she felt like she kind of came out of her body. She was in a different dimension, and she's seen the Hat Man hovering over another individual who was also on the drug at the same time. So also drugs can open up portals. Also, too, if you so happen to walk into an environment, say you just moved, to your new apartment, you move all your stuff in, and then, a month later, you see the Hat Man around your apartment. Sometimes you go into a space that's previously been haunted, or the Hat Man's been haunting that location. The person moves out, the next person moves in, and then you start seeing the Hat Man. That's also how you could see the Hat Man. Is if there was portals, or if you're in a haunted location that you didn't necessarily invite the Hat Man in, but you went into an environment where he was already invited in. And also, too, one of the most common ones is dream invasion, which is what Rosemary Ellen Guiley would call it, where they invade the dream state. And that's where a lot of people are most vulnerable, because when you're dreaming, you're always you're in the in-between from your subconscious mind and in the dream state to the kind of like spiritual world. And that itself can be an invitation for the Hat Man to manifest in your dreams. And one of the most scary part about the Hat Man phenomena is he could terrify you with a nightmare where he's killing and murdering your whole family, and you're just watching this take place. And then you wake up, and then this Hat Man is in your room. So that's even really terrifying, because you just had a nightmare, you think you're okay, you wake up sweating, you're terrified, and then he's in the corner or he's in the closet. And that's been one of the most common occurrences I've been getting from people. Also, one of the last things that could manifest the Hat Man is something that we're doing right now, is just talking about him. Just talking about him. If you bring up the conversation, let's say at a coffee shop, where you're talking to your friend about it, your experience you had, or you're talking about someone's experience, it's almost as if this entity is leaning in and saying, oh, someone's talking about me, let me listen to that. And then he gets closer. And he goes, well, if you're talking about me, you shouldn't be doing that. Well, I'm going to look into you. You're looking into me, so I'm going to look into you. So he'll throw you different signs and symbols throughout your very day where you're like, what the heck, are these coincidences? Am I trying to be contacted by the Hat Man or something evil? So just talking about it seems to kind of manifest it as well.
Oh, nice. So we're all going to get haunted tonight. Those who are listening in, those who are going to be downloading this, wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks for bringing the evil to us, my friend.
It's more of like you just have to be careful. And there's some people who are more receptible, and then there's some people who are not receptible. But it's almost like, if you're going into an environment where you have a certain scent and it attracts certain spiders, maybe you shouldn't have that scent on you. I don't know if that's a good example, but it's almost like you have to be prepared when getting into these subjects.
All right. Let's get to some questions from our audience, and then we'll continue on with the chat. All right. We're going to start off with Quest here, who is asking, are there any similarities between the Hat Man and Slender Man?
Whoa, very interesting. This is kind of synchronistic. I have my browser open with my documentary open, and it has the image of a Hat Man from a video game, and it's actually part of my documentary. And at that part in the documentary is where we talk about the connection between the Slender Man and the Hat Man. So I think that's very weird that I had that browser open at this time for that question. But no, there is a connection. So I don't know if people know, but Slender Man is actually a fictional character. It's not real. And I know a lot of people are reporting they're seeing the Slender Man, but it's actually kind of like it's true, but then it's not true. So let me explain that. So back in, I believe it was 2009, Eric Knudsen created a character that he called Slender Man. And his screen name was Victor Sturge. and he created the Slender Man based off of Hat Man accounts and Shadow People accounts. And then what happened was that this Slender Man phenomena kind of took flight, and people started saying they started to see him. And we talk about this in the film, and one of the witnesses says that, she's like, I could see why people would mistake the Hat Man for the Slender Man, because the Slender Man got famous really quick to the point where people do see Shadow People and the Hat Man in their bedroom still, and I bet you they couldn't put a name to what they were seeing. And then when they seen Slender Man, they go, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I seen. A tall figure in my room. He was wearing a suit, and he was looming over me. And that's very similar to Hat Man accounts and Slender Man mythos. But the Slender Man is a fictional character, and if you when I did the research for the Hat Man, I did come across a lot of the Slender Man similarities. Basically, the Slender Man is a fictional character that was based off of Shadow People and Hat Man accounts. So what you're seeing is when you see Slender Man, you're basically seeing a projection of the Hat Man in a different form. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Hat Man was kind of whispering to Eric Knudsen as he was creating this character to be also projected out to the masses. But at the same time... oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, many people believe that Slender Man has some sort of tulpa-type effect because there have been instances where, well, there was the instance in, I believe, Ohio or around there where two young girls believed that they were trying to contact the Slender Man, and they ended up stabbing their friend numerous times in order to appease the Slender Man.
Yeah, I think in that case, I think what was going on is it's more of a, how do I word this? Because there's two ways you can look at this. So either the Hat Man is also a tulpa, where people are kind of projecting this out, and it projects a depression kind of entity, and this entity goes out and feeds off people to kind of stay. Because I researched tulpas as well, and it needs to feed off of something to stay alive. Even though it's being created by people, it needs to feed off of some type of energy to stay alive. And it seems to me it's in reverse. I believe that either it's the Hat Man or it's a shadow demonic spirit that has attached itself to this image of the Slender Man, and it uses the Slender Man as a projection into our matrix to communicate, especially to younger children. Because it's far more effective if you see an image of something that can be used kind of like an idol. Because in the occult, what they do is they communicate to demonic spirits through idols, through objects like a doll or a statue. The Slender Man's the same thing. It's almost like it's an entity or entities that has attached itself to this Slender Man image, so that way it's used as communication from the dark side, especially to children, which is very dangerous. That's where I differ from other researchers, is where they say the Slender Man's a tulpa. I would agree with them. It's a tulpa, but there's a demon behind that tulpa that's being projected out to the masses. I think it gets a little more complicated.
And what would lead you to that result?
I researched thought forms, tulpa, egregores. One book that's really good that I think people should get it's called Invisible Master, The Puppeteer's Hidden Power. And that one talks about different entities, egregores, and shadow people, jinn, reptilians. And the author is actually Leo Zagami. Very interesting. That one will really wrap your head around. But it goes much deeper than just like tulpas. Because I personally believe that the Hat Man is more of like an actual living thing. I don't think it's kind of like a thing we're projecting and then it's kind of feeding off people to survive. Like, it's almost, tulpa is kind of implying that we're kind of like God and we can create ethereal things, but I think it's kind of in reverse. I think that these entities are very powerful and they're projecting images to us, and then in that way we project energy to them. It gives them more power.
All right, let's move on here on questions, as we have one from Lori in the SOR Space Travelers Club. She is asking, how do you set up protection from Hat Man invading your space? Would it be the same as setting up for ceremony?
So protecting the Hat Man from your space. What I do that's very effective is I have oil, and this is kind of ancient. This is kind of more Hebrew, ancient Hebrew, is you get oil and you anoint your house or your bedroom with oil. And it has to be doorways or the closet or your bed, because that's where doorways represent doorways in the spirit realm as well. They represent kind of gateways, if you will. And that's why you need to anoint your walls with oil. That would be more Hebrew. That's what I do. That's what I recommend to people, because when you do that, it actually kicks out these entities from your space very quickly. The only problem, though, is that when you go outside, you can't protect yourself when you're outside, when these entities are all around in the ethereal and in the atmosphere out there. But I do recommend that to people. Or sometimes even having an open Bible disrupts it. And if you're not religious, Rosemary Ellen Guiley suggested that you keep a computer on, a TV, a radio, or even music, because it seems to disrupt the dark, the hat men from entering your space. But this thing's very powerful. I've heard stories where it causes music to happen, where people, like in Jason Offutt's book, there's a fan on, and then people could hear kind of like this old school music playing, and then the hat man would manifest. So there's a lot of weird stuff like that. But that's what I would usually suggest to people.
All right, let's continue on here. Let's go to Sparky, who is asking, if it is appropriate, could you ask Kyle? Well, we're going to ask this right now, Sparkles. Are you familiar with anything other than just shadow people like the Hat Man? Because allegedly, or apparently, I should say, Sparky in her house had a shadow spider, and she's wondering what it represents. She had it live in her bedroom for years. When she moved, fortunately, it did not follow her.
Oh, actually, no. I have heard there are shadow spiders that people see. There's also like astral snakes that look like snakes. They look like demonic snakes. These can also be attachments. And when people have attachments, that can be causes for all kinds of things. And a lot of times from our eyes, these shadow beings look like shadows. But if you were to astral project, or if you were to have an experience where you go into their realm, you would see them for what they really are. There's a part of my documentary where a man did that, where he astral traveled, and he's seen shadow people attached to people or around people in that realm. And when he got closer, they looked more reptilian, like more like reptiles, but human-formed reptiles with like slit eyes, and they looked all different. So no, I agree with her or him that the shadow spiders is also very common, and they can be huge, and they can be like on the side of the wall, or they could be on the ceiling. I even have a story where people see the Hat Man on the ceiling, and he's crawling on the ceiling, and then his head turns around just like The Exorcist, and he looks terrifying. So these things are very very disturbing. But no, I have heard of that. I've had an experience where I don't think it was an astral spider, but it was. I woke up in the middle of the night, and it looked like this see-through kind of like squid-like thing, like ink black, and then it kind of went through the window. It's like almost as if I wasn't supposed to see it, and then it went through the window. And I was like, what, did I just see that? Was that just me? Was that like because sometimes you have floaters in your eyes that looks like you see something, but it wasn't a floater. It looked like it was like a jellyfish, and it moved, and it kind of flowed through the window. And it wasn't scary, but it was kind of like, did I just see that? And I believe that there's a lot of different interdimensional entities that we don't fully know about, and I don't think all of them are evil, but I believe that a lot of them are.
All right. Hotterock is asking in the Space Travelers, says, my mom and aunt would see a man in a hat who started out on their turned-off television screen. Is this a way Hat Man would begin to show himself?
Yeah, it's very common for him to project its reflection onto surfaces. So some people, they don't see him in the natural, but they see him like in the reflection of the window. Other people, they see him in the reflection, like what you just said, the TV screen. I just got a story the other day where a man, he was sitting down, he was watching the news, and in his window, he's seen this Hat Man coming from the ceiling slowly. And this time, he had a face. And that's another scary part of this Hat Man phenomena is sometimes he reveals his face, and he was smiling, and he looked like he'd been burnt, and he freaked the hell out and he ran out of his house. He was scared out of his mind, this guy. And he says that he doesn't ever want to see this thing again. And he did a rendering of it on Facebook, and people could actually find it. If you go to the Hatman Real Stories /Report Center, I have a Facebook group. People could look up other people's stories and talk to other people. And he did a rendering of it, and it looks terrifying. It looks scary. But no, it does show up on reflections as well, and that's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. That would be freaky to see that, some sort of rendering like that. All right. As we move on here, and we'll pause, and we only got about 2 minutes here before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. With the stories that you have seen regarding Hatman, I mean, listening to you and the passion of you have for this topic, all right, you're pretty convinced that there is something a little off and a little strange going on here. I find it a little ironic that you don't believe in or you think that Slender Man isn't real, but Hatman is. Do you see the confusion that I'm having here a little bit?
A little bit. Well, basically, the Slender Man is not a real character. It was created by Eric Knudsen. It's a fictional character. And
True.
what happened was people did start seeing the Slender Man, but I think people are mistaking the Slender Man for when they see shadow people. Like, for example, there is a shadow person that's very tall and slender, and that thing's been showing up around people for a long time, and it has long fingers. So I could imagine someone waking up and seeing that shadow figure, freaking out, the thing attacks them or it doesn't, it disappears, and then later on they're listening to a podcast or a radio show and they say that Slender Man, and they go, that's exactly what I've seen. It was a tall person, it looked like it was bald, and so I think there's misidentification going on there. But when I did go deeper into the Slender Man topic, I could understand the thought form. I could understand that people are feeding into something probably ethereal, and that it is kind of feeding on there. But I think the Slender Man's more dream realm like, where it's more ethereal. But I do believe that it's more the Hatman is more using the Slender Man image to manifest as well. Because when you go deep into the phenomena of the Hatman, it's behind so many different pulp culture pushes. Like what I mentioned earlier, it needs to put its image out there so that when it goes into the subconscious mind of the individual, it's easier to manifest to the hive mind consciousness of people, if you will. It's the same as Slender Man, but I'm just sticking to the facts with me. Is that the Hatman, here's the difference. The Hatman reports have been happening, and then now it's coming to light that people are seeing this thing. I'm
gonna let you to leave it right there because we're gonna go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Kyle J. Macias, director of the Hatman, documented cases of pure evil. More on this topic on Spaced Out Radio coming up.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today. We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblelicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have you with us. Thank you so much for tuning on in. Reminder, if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. We're talking about the Hat Man tonight on Spaced Out Radio, and director Kyle J. Macias is our guest, or Macias, pardon me. His documentary, which can be found on Amazon, The Hat Man, documented cases of pure evil. We're getting into some of those cases right now. Kyle, welcome back.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem. All right. As you started to film this series, where did you start? What were some of the stories that led you to doing this documentary?
I set up an email address. I did some ads, and then I also did. You can actually do hashtag Hatman or the Hatman on Twitter or Instagram. I also and there I would find stories of people. They would either post their videos, they would post their comments, and then from there I would message them. And then some people submitted their stories to me when they found out I was making a documentary about it. That's how I came across the stories. And the majority of the cases were all very dark, and people were saying that this thing was evil, evil, evil. So that's why, hence the title, Documented Cases of Pure Evil. I really wanted to approach the film as if you just found this old celluloid, reel-to-reel, and you so happened to, put it in an old, Super 8 camera projector, and you just saw this old, FBI investigation on a supernatural entity. So when you watch this documentary, it's going to have that vibe to it. I really did want to make it intense, heavy, scary, to drive home what people are experiencing when they see this Hat Man. But the majority of the cases are pure evil.
All right. Tell us some stories here. Tell us one that really freaked you out.
One that really did freak me out is, there's so many. I would say it was the grinning man aspect of the Hat Man phenomena. And, there's been some slight research, very few, on the grinning man phenomena, but I would say it's like phase 3 or phase 4 of the Hat Man, manifestations. Usually people see him, he's pitch black. All right, he's pitch black, he's in the corner, or he's in the closet. And you could kind of, tell yourself when you see him, like, is that a shadow of a person on the wall? Did someone break in? What is that? Did someone break in? Do I have to beat them up, But it's another thing where you see the Hat Man sitting at the foot of your bed, and he has a huge grin and reptilian-like eyes. He has slit eyes and then a white, pale, pasty white face. Those, to me, are very terrifying. And he doesn't have a normal set of teeth either. A lot of people report that he has, like, anglerfish teeth, and people can Google that, anglerfish. Or like a shark's teeth, where it has rows of teeth, or needle-like teeth. And then his eyes are usually sunken in black, or they're like black pupils, almost like the black-eyed children. They're pitch black eyes, or they're slits, like a reptile or like a cat. And a lot of people say that it looks like a lot like the Cheshire cat as well. His grin kind of changes here and there, but those are one of the most terrifying aspects of the Hat Man, because a lot of the people say that it feels like they're being preyed upon. It feels like he's about to bite them or eat them. The second most scary part is some people who have astral experiences with a Hat Man, where they feel like they're being pulled out of their body by this entity, and then there's a portal on the wall, and it feels like that's a portal to hell itself, to inside the earth, and it feels like this Hat Man is trying to take their soul and take them into hell. Those are also very scary experiences. If you want me to talk about one of those stories.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, so one woman contacted me, and then I interviewed her through Skype. I interviewed everyone through Skype maybe like 2 or 3 months before I did like an actual interview in person or on Skype. So when you watch the film, that's what you're going to see. And I was interviewing this woman, and she said that she's had experiences where she wakes up in sleep paralysis and the Hat Man's in the doorway. And then she's all, but it got worse. She's all, she said I would wake up, and then she said I would hear snakes around my bed, like hissing. And then she said she heard like snakes around her bed, and then she felt like she was being pulled slowly toward the foot of her bed. And she looks down at her feet, and then on the wall is this huge swirling vortex, and it's red. And she said it was making a loud sound like wind, like spinning. And then next to the portal was the Hat Man, and she said this time he had a face, and he was about like 6'5", and he had a suit on, and he had a fedora-type hat, but his face was kind of pale. And she said his face looked like as if a dead corpse was walking around. It looked like he was dead, but, he was still alive, and he had, like, red eyes. And she was being, like, levitated almost toward this vortex, and then she realized she was out of body. She wasn't in her body. She was out of body. And she's being taken toward this vortex, and she said, I knew that if I went through that portal, I was not coming back. And she said it felt like it was hell or some other different dimension where it was horrible and she wasn't going to come back. And then all of a sudden she started screaming, and she was begging for God to, please, God, help me. I don't want to go there. And then she said she felt like a hook went in her shoulder, and she yanked her back into her body. And she believed it was an angel or God or something that yanked her back into her body. And that was one of the most scary stories I heard, because it's one thing just to see Hat Man in the corner. It's another if you're being pulled out of your body by this thing. And then she's had other occurrences where she's also pulled out of her body by this Hat Man, and she says that this Hat Man's trying to rape her. Like he's trying to open up her legs to rape her. And that was one of the most terrifying and most disturbing aspects I came across, was that the Hat Man's trying to rape people. And that actually came up several times where people feel like that he's gonna rape them. And I can't really go into those stories because some of them are pretty graphic. But I'll just put it this way: is that he does try to have intercourse with some of the mainly women, actually, and that's very disturbing. But it's weird because some people are posting their stories where they're trying to have sex with the Hat Man. They're like into witchcraft or into dark stuff, and they're trying to have sex with the Hat Man and doing spells trying to attract him. I think that's strange. Or people who are astral projecting and they're trying to find him. And I don't know, I mean, he might be luring them or something, but I thought that was really disturbing.
That is kind of disturbing, because there have been very many scenes out there and stories that I've heard over the years where a lot of these demonic type entities try to attach themselves through something very personal, like sexual activity or any type of touching or along those lines. So as that was happening to these people whom you were dealing with, how were they able to reject that? Was it straight praying to God? Was it straight yelling, screaming? Did it happen? Do we know?
There was no, I would just say this, there was no contact. It was like they were fighting him as he was trying to. Like he was trying to hold them down, trying to, open their legs, but they were just rejecting it and moving around. And then they would, a lot of times these were astral experiences, so they would try to get up, walk around, and he would try to chase them, or they would be back in their body out of nowhere. A lot of times it was really quick. Only that one time. Well, there's been a lot of people that say that they screamed out to God for help, but only that one time where she was going to go in a portal did she scream for help for God. Other people, they just say that the Hat Man kind of insinuates that he wants to do something kind of sexual, and that they reject it, or they try to ignore him when he's in the room, or they try to go back to sleep.
Right. And what's her name? Patty Negri out of Los Angeles. She actually wrote an article a number of years ago about spirits trying to have sex with humans, and a lot of spiritual ghostly entities actually successfully doing this, which is kind of grotesque if you think about it, but it is something out there that is very paranormal. All right, so as you started with the documentary, where are most people seeing this? Are they seeing it at night? Are they seeing it in the daytime? Are they having... are they already in their sleep and their REM trying to go into a deep sleep while this is happening? Take us through it.
Yeah, it would definitely be all of the above. Mostly, most of the encounters are sleep paralysis. But when I did my research for the Hat Man, me personally, it became more that he likes to manifest around the house and outside was the majority of the story. So you can do kind of like your own little research real quick on Google, and you'll find a lot of sleep paralysis stories on the Hat Man. But it's not until you actually interview people in person and you kind of dive deep into the subject, you realize that it's actually more he's manifesting during the daytime, during your waking life. And that's very disturbing because, you can kind of brush it off. Like, well, that was a weird dream. And that guy in a hat was weird. That was strange. You can kind of brush it off. But when you're seeing it throughout your daily life, it can really mess up your sleeping cycle and it can really mess up your psyche in general. But the dream state seems to be the gateway between their realm and ours, and it seems like he's seen a lot in dreams as well. It's almost as if, too, from the people I interviewed, it's almost as if he creates dreamscapes in our minds, and you can actually find yourself in those dreamscape nightmares that he's designed, almost like a video game, almost like designing a video game landscape that he's created this nightmare type of atmosphere. And then you can find yourself caught in it sometimes. From like what I said before, watching something where his image was on it. You're dabbling in the occult, or you have a Ouija board. That could be a gateway. If he's nearby, he will take advantage of that. It's very dark. But I do want to touch on this, is that a lot of people say, well, it's just sleep paralysis. They're imagining it. Everyone's imagining the Hat Man. Well, first of all, everyone's imagining the same thing, that, and the majority of the public's not interested in someone that's a hat-like figure that looks like he's from the 1930s. A lot of people aren't really interested in that. And interestingly enough, I'm just going to say it, there was kind of a mind fog that came over me right now. And I felt like I was going to fall out of my body, kind of, just talking about it. So something is happening right now. But just mentioning that so people know. But sleep paralysis is kind of like a cover-up, if you will, so that people don't know what they're dealing with. It's almost like as if these dark side entities could take advantage of people even more, saying, oh, well, it's just sleep paralysis. There's no such thing as these ghosts or demons or whatever. And, for example, I have one story where there's a woman where her husband, it was her boyfriend. Her boyfriend kept having sleep paralysis episodes, and she would hear him. They would be in bed, and she would hear him. He would try to scream or try to move. And over time, he told her, he said, I do have these sleep paralysis occurrences. Can you just nudge me a little bit or just tap me, and it helps me come out of it? Because sometimes it's very scary. I see things in the room, and he even told her that he's seen the Hat Man during an episode. And she said, sure, I could nudge you a little bit to get you out of it. So one night, she heard him having sleep. Remember, she's not having sleep paralysis. He's having the sleep paralysis. He was having the sleep paralysis, and he was trying to wake up. He's all, trying to wake up. So she's all, oh, there he is again. I'll just tap him, like he said. So she leaned over to tap him, and she said the Hat Man was at the foot of the bed, staring at him in sleep paralysis. And she freaked out, and she said it looked like a person in the room, like a man in a hat. So this is an interesting story where the boyfriend's having sleep paralysis. She's completely awake, but she's seeing him having his sleep paralysis episode. She's seeing this entity that's bothering him. I think there are many stories like that, actually, and that one's very interesting because that kind of proves that it's not just in the mind of the individual. There's really something else going on.
How do we know that this isn't tied to extraterrestrials, aliens covering themselves up?
Very good question. That's another theory, is that these shadow people and the Hat Man are aliens and they are covering themselves. And to a certain extent, that is actually true, because the shadow people and aliens, if you like, are connected. I have one story of a man who, back in the 60s, this actually is in the documentary as well. Back in the 60s, he woke up in the middle of the night, and the Hat Man was in the corner of the room. And then he walked up to the foot of the bed and he looked down at this child, the man I interviewed. He was a child at the time, and he shook his head left and right, like almost like disapproving of him, or just shaking his head like no. And then he turned and he left the room, and he never knew what that was. He's all, was that a person? Was that a ghost? He never knew what it was. Well, it turns out a month before he seen the Hat Man, he also seen what people call the Greys, the almond-shaped eyes, the big head, but they're small, like the typical gray aliens. He also seen the Greys at the foot of his bed, and there was about 5 of them. And he woke up in the middle of the night and he's seen these entities, and he told me, he's all, keep in mind, he's all, Kyle, I did not know anything about aliens. You know, I had no idea what aliens were. He's all, so I'm looking at something, I have no idea what I'm looking at. And he said they were about 5 aliens at the foot of the bed, and he said they were staring at him, and then they all went into the ground like an elevator real slowly. And there's some theories that these entities hide underground, so I wouldn't be surprised if they were going back underground. To me personally, I believe that all these entities are linked together, and I just believe that we as human beings, we kind of genre-nize, if you will, things like, oh, well, that's an alien, or that's a thing from another planet. But we really have no idea what we're looking at. I mean, if you were to take away all the references from what you've been taught, you would have no idea what you're looking at. So I believe that these entities are all on the same kind of spectrum, and I believe that sometimes they're in league with each other, and I believe that I believe it's kind of the same thing. I believe that if you want to use different terminology, the Hat Man is an alien. It's just from a different dimension.
Could very well be. Could very, very well be. I'm not sure about that. There could be some sort of connection between the two. I want to get to another question here, and I just got to find it now. In regards to this, I'd be damned if I can. But we'll just continue on, as we have about 5.5 minutes here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. As you were, going through all these Hat Man stories that people had, how did you find these stories to be credible? Because there's a lot of people, the minute you say, oh, you're turning on the camera, they want their 15 minutes of fame. Pretty much say anything. So how did you go through these to make sure that they were credible stories?
Well, what I first did is, if it was a submitted story and I found it interesting, first of all, I had to go through my own filter of like, okay, does this line up with other people's accounts? It does. It has A, B, C, D, the same type of clothing, the same type of hat. People kind of don't want to talk about it in the first place. If they're really resilient to talking about it, that's most likely that they're legit. If they're eager to talk about it, like sometimes that's where I get a little fishy, because majority of Hat Man cases, people do not want to talk about it at all. And sometimes it's almost like I have to kind of like not beg them, but I kind of have to like, well, if you would like to share your story and go on camera, I can always blur out your face because your story is real interesting. It lines up with other people's stories. But majority of people, they're terrified that they're going to see him again, so they don't want to even talk about it. So usually that's a good indicator. And then second of all, I would interview people for about 2 to 3 months before the actual interview, just to kind of feel them out and ask about different experiences, what they believe, what they think the Hat Man is, and if it lined up with other people's stories. That's how I did it.
All right. Heidi Hollis, who has written about this topic numerous times, she's a great researcher in the unexplained, says that she believes it's a manifestation of negative energy in a person's life that creates this, even though she's never seen one herself. But she also says that Hat Man is alleged to whisper ominous warnings to his victims, occasionally speaking in enigmatic riddles. What's this all about?
I came across some stories that people submitted to me regarding that. One that comes to mind is this one guy. I think he's in his 30s now, but at the time he was about, I think, like 14 or 15, and he was living in his parents' basement. That's just where his room was, and the Hat Man appeared at the foot of his bed, and he woke up and he was kind of scared. But then the Hat Man told him, saying, "They're gonna get rid of you, and you're gonna lose everything." and then it disappeared. And he figured, wow, what was that all about? What the heck was that thing? What was that? And then about a week later, something happened with his parents, and he was taken away from his parents, and he ended up living in a foster home. I mean, not a foster home, like a, what's that called? Like the, where they're like waiting to be adopted, I guess, or
an orphanage.
I can't think of the word right. Yeah, an orphanage. He ended up going to an orphanage. So I think what's happening there, to be honest, is that if you research entities deeply, especially in the occult side, if they're projecting something to you or they're saying it with words, there's actually power in your words. And there's different texts that talk about that. So if that entity is speaking something over you, if it didn't, it probably wouldn't happen. But what probably happened was the Hat Man probably organized that to happen with its other kind of entities. It organizes it to happen. So that's why if something like that happens to you, you should probably just ignore him or don't even give it any attention, because by it speaking over you, it's almost like you give it authority for it to act upon that. That's probably why it whispers things to people. Other times it's really trying to terrify people because its voice is very terrifying and sounds very deep and disgusting, and it's almost like it's going to eat you or something.
Well, that is something you don't want. You don't want to be a dinner for anything paranormal. I can tell you that. Or sharks. One of the two. You just don't. You just don't want to do that. So, with these ominous messages that you have read, as we got about a minute to go here, what did they feel like? What was this Hat Man saying?
I'm actually going back real quick. The Hat Man is a land shark. If you want to try to describe him to somebody that knows about the Hat Man is a land shark. The vibe he has is very, people feel like they're looking at death or talking to death itself. Some people feel like that. They're looking to an abyss. They feel like they're looking into an abyss of oblivion, as if they're going to fall into like a big portal of nothingness and be lost for eternity. That's what they feel like the Hat Man is. And they also say it feels like a culmination of everything evil you could feel or imagine. And there's also a section in the film, but it actually became a deleted scene. People can watch that on the DVD or on Vimeo on demand, where we talk about it being death itself. And a lot of people, it was weird, a lot of people report the same feeling, where it feels like a culmination of depression, anxiety, and just a whole bunch of, if you could think of everything, all bad vibes put together. That's what they said the Hat Man was.
All right.
That was very scary.
Kyle, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Kyle J. Macias is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. The Hat Man, documented cases of pure evil. His documentary can be found on Amazon. You want to check it on out. More Spaced Out Radio with Hour 3 coming up right after this.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefoot?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblelicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spicing up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at CHIVE.com.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as THAL. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightline Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thieme. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, Space Travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, CHIVE Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today. We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
We're underway in the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi to everyone listening in on KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, great to be on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Thanks for having us. Don't forget, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Macarodont. Macarodont is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Grab a great book from We Read the Night. We got the Space Travelers Club open for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR News Wire. Final time tonight, we introduce director Kyle J. Macias. He has created a great documentary called The Hat Man, Documented Cases of Pure Evil. And we're glad to have him for the next 30 minutes. Kyle, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, question coming from the SOR Space Travelers Club for you. Hadarach is asking, do these entities that you are speaking about attempt to manipulate humans to believe that what we are experiencing are simply dreams or hallucinations?
Well, I guess that depends. If you're in a dream state, I believe these entities could send you hallucinations or dreams. But if you're waking, it depends how much the entity has attached itself to you. If it's attached itself to you pretty well, it could manipulate your environment, or it could cause you to look at certain things at a certain time, or not notice things, or purposely notice things. That's if you want to get into attachment stuff, if that's what he's talking about. That could really cause, sometimes it could cause hallucinations, but that gets more into the attachments and possession route with that.
So has Hatman been known to possess people?
Actually, that has not came up. Usually, he's not the one doing the possessing. But I do get reports, and I have interviewed people in the film where they say that the Hatman is watching or in the background while other shadow people or other entities are in the room trying to possess the person. It's almost like as if he's a supervisor or he's in charge of these other entities. And many eyewitnesses do say that he is in charge. They go, nope, I know he's in charge of the other shadow people. He's in charge of the other entities. One woman in the documentary said that she believes the Hat Man is in charge of these shadow people, and he sends these shadow people out to different places. But mostly he's not the one doing the possession. He's the one almost overseeing another shadow person or another demon trying to possess somebody else.
Are adults seeing this more, or is this something that children are affected by as well?
A lot of the reports, that starts off with people who are children. So the Hat Man does approach kids a lot more often, but it really doesn't matter. If he wants to show up to an adult or a teenager, an old person, he does do that. But what's scary about old people is that when he shows up to old people, it's usually because you're about to die. Because I have other people that say that this thing has came for them or their loved one, and they believe that basically he's associated with death. In the documentary, this is also the documentary where people say that they see the Hat Man and then a week later their uncle dies, or they see the Hat Man after their mother has passed away, and he's always kind of shows up preceding or following a death in the family, which that's pretty scary because when they see him again, they don't know, like, is someone going to die or is it just an episode where I saw him again? So it kind of leaves, the Hat Man's meant to leave people on edge a little bit. It's meant to keep you on edge.
So with children, how does he affect that? Because children seem to be so much more susceptible to this type of stuff.
Yeah, children are definitely more open, and they can see more than adults can. Usually he shows up to them, and sometimes it's even when they're in their crib. A lot of people have early memories where they're in their crib and the Hat Man's over the crib. One of the stories in the film is a woman. She just got home from work. She's laying down on the couch, and her baby starts screaming her head off as if someone's hurting her or she's having a horrible nightmare. She runs down the hallway. She opens the door, and the Hat Man is next to the baby's crib. But it's interesting. He's not looking at the baby. He's looking at the mom open the door, expecting her to open the door. And she said he gave off the vibe like, I can do whatever I want. I can show up in this house and I can do whatever I want to your daughter, like that, almost like. And then she thought, you're not going to lay a finger on my daughter. And she walked in, picked up the baby, and she said she didn't give the Hat Man no attention. He was still there, standing there, and then she walked away. But she sees him she used to see him almost 2 times a month, 2 to 3 times a month, almost every week. She would see this Hat Man and shadow people around the house. But with children, it does seem more attractive to children. And what it's doing is it's preying on children's innocence. It's what's going on there. It's trying to corrupt them early, trying to make them scared early to take over their life. Because if you can steal their youth, their childhood, you basically steal the whole person's life.
Interesting. Very interesting in regards to that. Does this happen to non-spiritual people as well? Shar would like to know.
Yeah, it does. Some people, they're atheists, and then they see the Hat Man and they go, I don't think I know everything that's going on this planet or what's really going on. What did I see? There's also something interesting with that, and I talked about this before, is that these entities are very smart, especially if you talk about the jinn or demonic entities. They are very smart, and I'm not against atheists at all. If you want to be an atheist, that's completely fine. I believe in people's freedom of choice and what they want to believe in. It's completely cool with me. But from my research and also from people who I know that know about these matters, is usually people that are atheists, they usually have an attachment, a demonic attachment, that's keeping them in a kind of box where they're purposely driving you away from anything that would reveal that these entities exist. So it's to keep you in a state of there is no God, or, there is no demons, or anything like that. So it's sometimes the person has an attachment or a demon nearby that's keeping you in a state of keeping you away from any type of interaction with these entities or even anything good. So it keeps you in a state of ignorance so that it can get you later on, last second. Sometimes that's scary as well. That's for people to ponder about if they want to, but that's from my research. Sometimes they keep you in a box where you're purposely like, well, I never had any experience. Well, I never seen anything. Well, there's a reason to that. There's probably something nearby that's purposely hiding itself and hiding other things from you. It's concealment.
Gotcha. So with this documentary that you did, how similar were the stories of the people that you interviewed? How many people did you interview for this, first and foremost, and how similar were their stories?
Probably hundreds of people. I wouldn't say thousands. I interviewed just hundreds of people. Some They were all very similar. The majority of the cases it's a tall man, almost as tall as the ceiling, with the hat and the coat, trench coat, or sometimes like a 3-piece suit. And usually, the majority of the cases, his legs are fading away. People say, like, I remember his top half, but his legs were kind of fading away. That was one of the most commonalities, is he had no feet or legs. The opposite of that was people either seen his shoes or they seen hooves for feet, like pig feet. That was very disturbing as well. But no, the majority of the cases were basically there was a shadow man silhouette in a corner. What was weird is people started submitting over time, like every 3 months, because I did the film over 2 years. Like every 3 months or 4 months, people started submitting to me what they thought were real pictures of the Hat Man. And that was very fascinating because, you know, it's one thing people talk about it, but then people say they captured it on camera. And I'll tell you, if people watch the documentary, we do have photos in there where I go through them as if I'm editing them in person to show you guys is this real or is this fake. And I believe they're real photos of the Hat Man. And one of them I'm actually looking at right now is he appears behind an individual. They were at a party. Out of all places, it was like a big mansion, and they broke into this mansion, but it was like an old mansion that was closed off. They broke into it, and they're like high schoolers at the time, and it was when we had flip phones at the time. That's when we had flip phones. And he said, hey, take a picture of me. I want to send it to my friends. I'm going to text it to them. So this one guy took a picture, and he did like a series of 5 or 6 pictures. And then the guy said he was going through it, and he said, whoa, what's that? And they went back to it, and it looks like a tall shadow Hat Man behind him. And he's never heard of the Hat Man before. And he was like, whoa, what is that? And he started showing the people and the girls in the group, and they were freaking out, saying, don't show it to me, don't show it to me. And he was saying, what is this? And I interview him in the film, and I personally believe it's probably one of the best Hat Man pictures I've ever seen, if there has been any. I don't think I've ever seen anything else where people say they caught the Hat Man on tape. But yeah, it's very like, he looks like he's a shadow. And usually with shadow people like pictures, it's almost as if they're moving. Like there's a blur to them. Like if you ever take a picture of someone moving, you could see like a blur. It's almost as if these shadow people are always kind of moving in the background. And you kind of see that with this Hat Man picture.
All right, a couple questions coming from the audience. This one on Twitter from Greco, who says, I've heard several times that abductees have seen the image of a Hat Man-like figure during their experience. Do you believe there is any connection between the Hat Man, aliens themselves potentially disguising themselves as this entity?
Yeah, so it's my belief that these entities, whether you call them the Greys, reptilians, the Hat Man, Jinn, shadow people, I believe I don't think they're from distant star planets. I believe what we're learning now is that they're more interdimensional type aliens, and I believe that they're all kind of a part of the same club, dark club, if you will, dark army, if you will. And it seems that these shadow people are like the ground troops, and the Greys and the reptilians are more like the sky dwellers, if that makes sense. But I did have a story. I interviewed a guy in person, and this was downtown Los Angeles. It was him and his wife. His wife seen the Hat Man. He rushed up the stairs, and he was in the doorway, and she said he was very tall and that he had the vibe like what we talked about earlier. He felt like he had a culmination of vibes of depression, anxiety, evil, everything you could think about evil. Turns out later that she meets this guy, and this guy says that he's been abducted several times. And she told him her experience, and he said, I've seen something like that in one of my abduction experiences. And he told her that he said that he woke up, and it was as if he wasn't supposed to wake up, and he was on a steel table, and there was a couple of the gray aliens at the foot of the steel table, and then behind him in the corner was this hat-type figure, like a Hat Man. He said it looked like a man in a hat, all in silhouette, very tall and like stoic. And he said he always thought it was a government worker until he came across me when I was posting my stuff online, and then I interviewed his wife, and then his wife told her story. And he said, that's what I seen. He's like, I didn't see a government worker. He's like, I seen exactly what you guys are talking about. And usually he has wide shoulders too. I forgot to mention that he has wide shoulders. But no, that's one of the clearest connections with the Hat Man and what people call aliens.
All right. Let's go over to Hadarak, who has a question in the Space Travelers. Could it be that he is showing up due to the emotional upheaval in families?
Yeah, oddly enough, the same story I was just talking about, that's when the wife started seeing the Hat Man. So when she was younger, her parents were constantly arguing, and then she said that you can feel like the atmosphere, like as if, you can cut it with a knife. You can feel the atmosphere of the anger toward the parents, toward each other, that they were just constantly arguing. And she said there was a lot of that ugly, negative energy, and she believes that attracted the Hat Man into that space, into that atmosphere. And a lot of times, if you're in a space that has a lot of stress, like even a job or even like a church or something that has a lot of stress and a lot of tension, you'll start noticing a lot of kind of weird activity happening around that. So there is an attraction of these entities to negative projections that people are doing.
All right. So does it happen to people who are educated, who are more studious in the sciences, who are more adept to having their brain continually studying and learning, or does this affect anybody?
From my research, it affects anybody. This Hat Man is not biased toward any type of individual. It's weird too, because some people that are more psychic will see him. Some people who are not psychic at all will see him. It'll happen to anybody.
Well, at least he's playing fair and just affecting everybody. That's a good sign. Very good sign in regards to that. We have about 5.5 minutes left with you tonight, and I think this has been a lot of fun in learning about the Hat Man. As we move forward here with the show and continue on, what can people do to protect themselves, in your opinion, from having an encounter with this negative entity?
My opinion, I would say you should pursue truth, and you should pursue, that's my short version, is you should pursue truth, because everything about the Hat Man is almost like drenched in lies and deceit. It's always like, in the first place, why is it covering itself with a hat and coat? So it's already kind of hiding something. Why is it always trying to plan harm on people? And then why is it not, why doesn't it let itself known to the masses? Because when I did my research for this documentary, it's almost as if it's meant for the individual to notice. It's not meant for the masses to notice. It's meant for the individual. So, for example, if someone's seen the Hat Man, they'll get a thought all of a sudden saying, Google it. You should Google it. And they'll go, why should I do that? So they go to Google and they'll just type in Shadow Man in a hat in my room. And then all these images and all these stories will come up. And it's meant to scare the individual sometimes, or it's meant to kind of guide them toward a dark path. So that's what I tried to do with this documentary, is kind of show you all options of what's going on in the different type of stories. But my advice to people would be to pursue truth and to stay away as much as possible. If you don't want to see this Hat Man, stay away as much as possible, probably from any information. And also, I do recommend your religion of choice, whatever religion you have, go seek counsel on what you should do with your religion, because they all have different types of remedies of protection that you could do.
Yeah, that's strong advice right there, because you want to make sure that you're protected in any type of paranormal experience, because it can be very dangerous. And when you don't know the entities that you are playing with, that's where things get a little bit ugly.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So, no, I think that's fair. So, with the documentary that you have right now, where can people find it?
So right now they can find it on Amazon. It's available on DVD and Blu-ray. They do have to type in the full title, though, The Hat Man Documented Cases of Pure Evil. And then it's also available to watch on demand on Vimeo On Demand. And they can type in the title there as well, and it'll pop up.
Well, that's pretty cool. make it easy access for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What's the response been from people?
It's been really good, and more people are submitting their stories. And I'm currently writing some scripts, but not really based. Some of it's based off the Hat Man, but it's mostly based off of nightmares and also different type of attachments. That's another topic I'm going into is attachments. But the response has been very well, and some people, they're either terrified to watch it because they don't want to have nothing to do with it, even if sometimes they have never heard of the Hat Man, but they just watch the trailer and they freak the hell out and they have chills. Other people are paranormal aficionados, or they're paranormal investigators, and they love it. They eat that stuff up. So that's been the response so far.
Yeah, that leads to my next question. I'm curious about the response that you've received from the paranormal community, because you haven't really been involved in it outside of this. And the paranormal community can be finicky like a cat at times.
A lot of them embraced the film and they loved it, and it came across here and there from their studies, or they've seen the Hat Man maybe once, but they kind of didn't really dive deep into that subject. And they were very fascinated that I kind of focused in on one element on the paranormal that really hasn't been looked into, just on the Hat Man. So that's what really fascinated them. That's what they really wanted to look at.
Fully understand. We have about 1 minute left with you tonight, and I want to say thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio. It's been an absolute pleasure to learn about this, and it's one of those weird topics that may not get the attention because it's not as sexy as say UFOs or aliens or something along those lines, but it's definitely something that we got to take a little bit more seriously here. So I appreciate you coming on in and doing that. Do me a favor, tell everybody where they can find your documentary if they want to check it on out.
All right, yeah, it's available on Vimeo on demand. It's also available on Amazon.com. All you have to do is type in the title, The Hat Man Documented Cases of Pure Evil. Also, if people want to connect to a community of people who have also seen the Hat Man, they can go on Facebook and they can type in the Hat Man Real Stories /Report Center. And also, you can, if you want to if you want to email me, you can email me at hatmandocumentary@outlook.com.
Very cool. Well, Kyle J. Macias, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on Spaced Out Radio tonight to break this all down. We haven't done a show dedicated to Hat Man yet, so this was new for us in our first 5 years of existence here, and I appreciate the way you did that, and your energy was fantastic. Keep up the great work, and look forward to seeing your work in the future.
Awesome. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, thank you.
Not a problem. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio right after this.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thieme. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblelicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby. and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at CHIVE.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the CHIVE and CHIVE Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a Space Traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. For more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have you with us. Reminder to all of you, if you've missed the majority of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, grab a great book from We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers for just $5 a month, and every day Captain Shirk has you up to date on the SOR Newswire. Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire, the back end of every show where we get to the weird, the wacky, and sometimes, and I don't know if this is a good thing, but we upset the Satanists out there. You see, apparently, the headline that we use from a story called Notorious Hollywood Satanist Anton LaVey was embroiled in a mob plot to assassinate Senator Ted Kennedy during the 1980 presidential campaign. Well, the Church of Satan didn't like old Spaced Out Radio for that, sending us a tweet saying, mixed up in quotation marks, is a bit of misleading. Someone accused him of something, and now the investigation showed he had no connection to it. So we're on the Church of Satan's radar now. I don't know if that's a good thing. Probably not. All right, but the story goes like this. Anton LaVey was once embroiled in a plot. An informant had claimed that LaVey, who is the founder of the Church of Satan, had told him in October 1980 that he was planning to murder the third Kennedy brother. The bizarre allegations, which were not publicly known, were included in documents related to the FBI investigation that were not only recovered by media outlets, but others as well. LaVey, a flamboyant and Hollywood-esque character, founded the Church of Satan in 1966. The church was run from a building in San Francisco that became known as Satan House, or the Black House, where LaVey would perform satanic rituals and seminars, often surrounded by groups of naked women. Oh, my goodness. According to the FBI report, the informant contacted investigators from Chicago on October 20th to say that he had received a phone call from LaVey. What followed was a 2-week investigation by the FBI and Secret Service. At the time, Kennedy was helping Jimmy Carter campaign for the election. Just prior, Kennedy had initially decided to run against Carter, but lost the Democratic nomination. The informant told investigators that LaVey, who called himself the Black Pope, had called him and said he owed him a favor. LaVey allegedly told the informant he would receive a package within days that he wanted to deliver to the mob boss in Chicago's South Side. The mob would then kill Kennedy, the informant told the FBI. Well, the informant told investigators he received a visit from a Church of Satan member who specifically discussed the cult and the plot against the senator. He told the FBI that LaVey had planned to fly to Chicago on October 27th with 8 kilos of hashish and cash. The FBI document said agents followed up on the trip, but LaVey never arrived at Chicago's O'Hare Airport on that day. The investigators moved on to say they made their way back to LaVey's Black House to speak with him, but were told he wasn't there. They returned 2 days later and interviewed him. According to documents, LaVey denied having anything to do with the assassination plot. He said the highest regards for Senator Kennedy and his family. According to the records, LaVey had received several phone calls from the Chicago area on October 23rd and October 27th, but that he didn't know the person's identity and that he hadn't returned their call. The FBI then turned their attention back to the informant, giving the inconsistencies of the account. Secret Service had earlier conducted a polygraph on the informant, but the results came back inconclusive due to cocaine use. Oh, that bad, bad man. Anyways, goes on to say that LaVey, who was rumored to have an affair with an actress, and they were pictured together at the Black Church, they were rumors that he put a hex on Jane Mansfield, Sam Brody, boyfriend Sam Brody, saying that he would be killed in a car wreck. Brody and Mansfield were both killed in a crash in 1967 in New Orleans. Nothing ever came of this investigation. All right, moving on to the United Kingdom. For years, residents of a small UK village were left baffled as to why bundles of cash, usually totaling around £2,000 or $2,598 American each, were being left on their streets. Now, the mystery has finally been solved, and two good Samaritans were behind the kind gestures. The generous pair voluntarily came forward to police after residents were left puzzled by the regular appearance of bundles of cash which had been found 12 times in Blackhall Colliery since 2014. The couple, who have asked to remain anonymous, received unexpected windfalls and wanted to leave money to help people, Durham Constabulary mentioned in a statement. They chose Blackhall Colliery as they had an emotional connection to the village after being helped by a resident, police added. Since 2014, the couple have visited the village and left bundles of places where the money would be found by those in need, such as pensioners and people who have fallen on hard times. The pair would often stay to make sure the cash had been picked up, police said. It is not clear whether the pair will continue to leave cash, but police say that any money handed in will be returned to the finder. I would like to thank the Good Samaritans for getting in touch and also the honest residents of Blackhall who continued to hand the money in, Detective Constable John Forster said. We would continue to encourage anyone who may find another bundle to continue to hand it in. All the previous bundles have been returned to the finder. For years, police were unable to identify who had been dropping the bundles off. Durham Constabulary checked with the local bank and post office, as well as testing for fingerprints. It is not the first time that honest passerbys have handed in large sums of money they found by chance. In December 2018, a New York subway rider found a Chanel purse containing $10,000 and handed it in. Police later confirmed that a Manhattan woman filed a report about the bag, which she lost as she headed on vacation to Russia. Moving on. A Jeep crashed into a 4,000-pound sculpture in southeast Las Vegas, according to Clark County government, which shared dash camera video of the footage of the wreck. The Jeep was exiting the 215 Beltway onto Eastern Avenue when the driver turned into the center median and hit the public artwork. The driver passed a field sobriety test, and police said there were no injuries. Police cited the driver for improper turn and failure to use due care. The large steel art installation on the median featuring a head was pushed into the street. Las Vegas artist Luis Varela created the sculpture, calling it Norte y Sur, as the head faces both directions of travel with money from Clark County Public Art Fund. Our centered median art piece is going to need extensive repairs after an SUV plowed into it over the weekend in southeast Las Vegas, Clark County said. The collision was captured on a dash cam by a person waiting at the intersection. Thank goodness, though, nobody was hurt. Here's an interesting one. Let's just call this dumb. This is dumb. Nick Wallenda. Now, if you don't know who this guy is, he comes from the famous High Wire Act family. All right. Nick Wallenda stated today that he will become the first person to walk a high wire directly over an active volcano. Wallenda, who has been nicknamed King of the Wire, said on Good Morning America he will walk over the Macias volcano in Nicaragua on March 4th. The 1,800-foot-long walk, described as the highest ever attempted, will air live as a part of a 2-hour Volcano Live with Nick Wallenda series. Yeah, it'll be on ABC. Wallenda previously broke the Guinness World Record over the summer when he walked 1,808 feet across a tightrope in a Canadian city 30 feet over the ground in about 30 minutes. He has also walked 25 stories above Times Square, faced what he described as the intimidating roar of the falls and blinding mist as he made an 1,800-foot-long trek 170 feet above Niagara Falls, and walked a wire 1,500 feet above an Arizona gorge near the Grand Canyon without a harness. Wallenda, who first stepped onto the high wire at age 2 and is a 7th-generation wire walker from the famed Flying Walenda's family of acrobats, said the upcoming stunt will be his most dangerous yet. He described the walk over an active volcano in the interview as everything I've ever done times 10. Walenda added that he will face sulfuric gases, which are so thick he can't breathe through them, so he is training with a gas mask. He also is training with a blindfold in case he cannot see. It has been a dream of mine for a long time. Of course, I live my life about trying to inspire others, and in order to do that, I have to push myself beyond my comfort zone. And that's what I'm doing, he said. Comfort zone? It's over a bloody volcano. That's not comfort. That's not pushing your limits. How can this be a dream of tightrope walking over a volcano? Let's be serious here for a second. Every other human being is not calling this cool. Okay? This is dumb. You know, hot lava hurts. I'm pretty sure. I've never touched it, but it looks really hot. It looks like you might disintegrate within seconds if you fall into that active volcano. Lava not good. Volcano's not good. I would sooner see this guy do this over a tank full of great white sharks. All right? I totally would. That seems safer. Brutal. I don't know who does this. How do you even come up with this? Like, thinking this is a good idea. That's another one. How do you do that? I'll never know. I'll never, ever know. Don't try that at home. Don't you hate that when you're watching like all these shows on there for like these tightrope acts or magic acts or whatever, and the host is always like, you know, and it's always like Lorenzo Lamas or somebody like that. Don't try this at home. Well, no kidding. It's like they want to add to the danger. Don't try this at home. I always hated hearing that. It's like, what, do you think I'm stupid? You think I'm a moron that I'm going to do that? All right? That's what YouTube is for. That's why I go watch there. An elephant in a Zambian national park was caught on camera climbing over a wall to steal some mangoes from a safari lodge. The Bush Camp Company posted a video on YouTube showing the big bull elephant climbing over a 5-foot wall outside of the lodge in South Luangwa National Park, or Lungwa National Park. Workers said the elephant stole some mangoes from the lodge before climbing back out over the same wall. Lodge manager Ian Salisbury says lodge guests were amused by the elephant's maneuver. He just chose the most direct route and made himself right at home. The guests were very amused at the idea of a climbing elephant. It's actually quite an impressive look. I mean, this elephant is huge, man. Huge. It's amazing, though. Nice piece of fruit. That's all he wants. Give me some mangoes. Give me some mangoes. I guess he didn't like the appetizers of cantaloupe, honeydew, strawberries, watermelon. Nope, wanted the mangoes. Okay, men, every man out there, get ready to cringe, okay? Like, I'm looking at this thing right now, and I'm like, oh. A man from Thailand had his penis begin to decay after he got it jammed in a metal pipe for 5 days and only sought medical attention after the pain became unbearable. What? The 21-year-old placed his penis in a sock and then put it into a metal cylinder to have sex with it last week. After he did his thing, the tip had swollen so much the blood couldn't flow back, and he was stuck inside the makeshift sex toy. He wandered around his house for 5 days in extreme pain while trying a variety of lubricants to free himself from this jam. The unidentified man eventually dragged himself to a hospital in Bangkok and explained the situation to doctors on Sunday night. He told medics that he had used the industrial equipment to masturbate before, but this time after experimenting with a sock, he climaxed and could not remove it himself. He had endured the pain for 5 days with his penis rotting rotting inside the contraption before he summoned up enough strength to call for help. How do you not do that on day one? Volunteer rescue workers then took him to the hospital. One paramedic said they spent 3 hours cutting the metal from the man's Johnson, but wasted 25 blades in slicing through. When I first saw his penis, it was already swollen. No kidding, it would be. My goodness. The bolted nuts he put on, really? Like, you can't make this stuff up. The bolted nuts he put on were 3 millimeters thick, and we had to cut them open with a small blade. We used 25 blades and spent more than 3 hours on the operation. The man had been experimenting, and it just didn't work out. One doctor said the man could have lost his penis as the skin had rotted so badly the tissue inside was visible. He said, it's very dangerous to have the penis in this situation for 3 hours, let alone 5 days. The penis was stuck because it was erect in the bolt and the cavities filled with blood, but afterwards the blood couldn't return and stayed in the glands at the top of the penis. The organ then began to rot. Being stuck like this for just 3 hours could cause someone to lose their penis, but the man was stuck for 5 days. I'm still shocked his dick survived. All right. Moving on here. All right. Get that fatal image out of your head. Let's end it with Florida woman. A Tampa woman was arrested for allegedly making a homemade bomb in Walmart. Good for you, Emily Standard, or Stollard. Yeah, but what appears to be a homemade explosive in a mason jar filled with nails, denatured alcohol, and a candle. She had been roaming around Tampa, Florida store with her son for more than an hour on Saturday when a security guard deemed her behavior suspicious. An off-duty police officer and the security guard were able to stop Stollard as she was about to light the candle. Stollard resisted arrest as she was charged with attempted arson, firebombing, child abuse, and battery of a law enforcement officer, according to her brand new arrest records. The woman had all the supplies she needed to cause mass destruction at her disposal, the sheriff in the local community said. Yeah, well, apparently, if she would have detonated it, a lot of people would have been hurt. She was her bond was set at $8,500. She remains in jail as of right now. Don't try the Thailand thing, by the way. Marty, where's my clown? Where is it, Marty? Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What do you think legends like Hat Man, Shadow Man are? Well, I can tell you what they're not doing, and that's putting their Mr. Johnson in a metal contraption and having it rot. J.A., I'd say that thoughts create things like urban legends, even though enough people concentrating on the same thing gives it life, except I had a Hat Man encounter when I was too young to know what it was, so I didn't think it into my bubble. Maybe interdimensional? Or higher? Lower dimensions? Who knows? Robin. All right. I know a lot of people are seeing these Hat Man and Shadow people. It has to do with sleep paralysis. The people that see these Shadow people or Hat Man, sometimes both, it is there to kill them. They are from another dimension, but I think I've seen a glimpse of the Hat Man once. Renee. Not legends, had my own experience with this, and I was not asleep. They are not spirits, however, not like a spirit that can appear in a shadow form. These things are a solid black, and you cannot see through them. I would say they are of another dimension, and they are scary as heck. My recent experience was when I was down visiting my friend this Christmas, and there he was, standing in the bedroom of the two boys. My friend is relieved she is not going crazy, and I have now seen it too. However, she also has other haunts in her home and that we are working to deal with as well. Russell, in my own case, I received a visitation by two shadow people at the age of 6 in 1961. The memory has stayed with me all these years. Just people I'm connected to in between lifetimes stopping by to say hi, so that as an adult I would realize and be continually reminded that we exist in a multidimensional reality, totally benign. Sparkles. My only experience has been with the shadow spider that lived in my bedroom for years that I have written about in the past. Heidi Hollis wrote a great book entitled The Hat Man, The True Story of Evil Encounters. An excellent read. Heidi is an excellent resource, and I want to add a delightful lady. David gets the final word on this. Sleep paralysis or hypnopompic or hypnagogic dreams? I don't know if I pronounced those right, to be honest. I may have. I don't know. Anyways, David goes on to say, I've had the shadow person experience myself in 1992 when I was in college. We want to say thank you for everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave today. We really do. We'll do it all again tomorrow on Facebook and on Twitter. All you got to do is check it on out, write down your response, and maybe you'll hear it on the air. Because we love the audience participation around here. Big thank you to Captain Shirk for getting all of our news together for the SOR News Wire. She does it every day, works her tail off while listening to Rob Zombie. Absolutely. You can check out spacedoutradio.com. Go to the SOR News Wire. Everything is updated there. Or if you're on Facebook or social media, Twitter, you can find the stories there posted as well. Big thanks to Kyle J. Macias for coming on in, talking about The Hat Man. His documentary, The Hat Man, Documented Cases of Pure Evil, can be found on Amazon. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, in our chat rooms on LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers Club on our website, and on Twitter, all the snarkers and snarkettes at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You did a good job tonight. Thank you. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends,
We're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. Tomorrow night, Merle is back. Ghost of the Great White North. Yeah, Merle will join me. Give him some kudos. I know you will, Canadian Joe. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.